As Paul reminds us, for we walk by faith and not by sight. It is to be a people whose reliance on God guides and sustains us in all of the challenges of our life. And once again, we find ourselves on this walk as the family of Christ Church, engaging challenges, but also relying on the redemptive love of Jesus to lead us into the next chapter of Christ Church. In this video, the Vestry and Stewardship Committee give you a sense of the challenges we face, but also the celebration of our Christ Church family as we have adapted in worship, formation, and service over the past year. Your giving to the glory of God and service of the church will help all of us to be able to walk by faith into the hopes of where we see God leading us in the year ahead as we continue to seek and know Christ, as well as to make the love of Christ known to the world around us.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. We're here to just discuss things that, as a vestry, we have discussed as we attempt to move forward. These include things to involve our stewardship campaign, as well as concerns and positives that have occurred in the past 18 months, but what we're looking to move forward into. And specifically, one of the things was how, as a parish and a congregation, are we going to welcome new people in, young, old, children, and what that's going to look like, because right now we can't or haven't been able to in the last 18 months greet people like we want to, and then how are we going to invite them in and make this a vibrant congregation to join, and the ministries that, how are we going to make them known to our new people, and frankly to some of our people who have been congregants for many years. You know, there's a lot of things that have changed in the last 18 months, and it would be a good way right now for us to try to figure out how to put those thoughts forward. Anybody?
Well, that's very positive, because I think as being on vestry, one of the things that many of us have experienced is a lot of the anger and regret and unhappiness that people have been dealing with, whether the church being closed or reduced circumstances or the lack of coffee hour, for heaven's sakes, wearing masks, and the question of what has the church done for me or not done for me. And I think people are having a really tough time dealing with the changed world that we're in. The fact that the church has changed and will change, and it's hard for people to change. You know, they've become cocooned in a particular way of thinking and doing, and one of our roles, you know, is to help them make that transition to come back to church, to play a part in the ministries that we want to keep going or expand upon.
And that's really important to talk about the ministries. So I want to reflect a little bit about the past couple of years, the PPP loan, which has become synonymous with COVID, which was the payroll protection program. It was put on by the federal government. It was rolled out by the Small Business Administration. Our church took 2 PPP loans. Both of them have been forgiven. So those loans really helped us through the past couple of years, but that's over. So that rolls us into stewardship, which this year is going to be really important. I mean, the preliminary budget shows that we need a 16% increase from last year just to restore our staff to full staff. So it's a challenge for us.
And you know, I think that a lot of people don't understand that our staff is not overhead. Our staff is our ministries.
Yeah.
Yes, we have an outreach committee that does wonderful things. We're trying to think of more things to help bring people in. But our staff is our ministry. And in this church, we minister internally and we minister externally. And when you think about internally, I mean, the fact that on Sunday mornings, Webster or Martin get up there and conduct a service which is online and in person now, that's ministry inward. Marjorie and her youth programs, which we've had to put on hold, to Lynn and the choir, those are ministries. And so I think we need to understand Our staff is our ministries. And so, we can turn on the lights. We couldn't have ministries if we couldn't turn on the lights. So we've got to shift that thinking a little bit.
They're as much a part of everything as the buildings. They're the structure
Or the
as well.
congregation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of ministries and change, we have instituted some new technology, which we have never done before, and that needs to be maintained. There are additional expenses associated with that, and we also need help from our congregation to sustain that ministry, so that when our congregation can't come to us, we can take church to them. And that's vitally important now, and it will continue to be.
I think we've done a good job through COVID of taking church to the congregation if they want to come to us. Every Sunday morning, you can see the service. You and Phil have made that possible, so it's still been there. Children's service has been going on. There have been hymn sings in the courtyard. So our ministries have continued, and we need to all increase our giving so that it can grow even more.
Since the very beginning of the pandemic, all of our ministries have been learning and growing. From our first efforts to use Zoom meetings to provide online worship, to all of the ways we've reached out and met the community's needs through our outreach ministries, as we do here at Bright Futures and with so many other organizations all around Winchester. To our work reinventing Sunday school, first online, now in person again, as we build community with children and their families and teach them more about God. To all of the ways we've learned to use technology to make music and worship happen. We can even put Ted in 2 places at once. We've made the courtyard a place for community gathering and worship. We've even brought in our pets as part of the fun. We've tried new ways of doing pastoral care, like Delyn's work to teach us all how to use music to relax. We've kept the church year in new ways, like our Palm Sunday parade, that brought Palm Sunday to all of us, even though we couldn't be together in person for it. And through it all, we've kept on feeding the bodies and souls of our neighbors in need. As we look ahead to 2022, we're so grateful for all of the ways we've come back together, and all of the work everyone has done to make our ministries as Christ Church possible. And we invite you to join us in the mission and ministry of Christ Church in the year ahead, as we strive to know Christ and to make Christ known in everything we do and with everything that we have.